For my horse, I don't over prep for any big horse show. My biggest pet peeve when I see people go to a horse show is you don't ride your horse 6 times at home every day.
True.
You don't need to ride your horse 6 times at the Congress. It's not going to change what you're doing. You do your prep work at home. Your horse should be ready and prepped by the time you get there. Maybe tweak a few things, but you shouldn't have to change your whole, prep schedule once you
Yeah.
get there. It's going to mess you up.
Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach.
Today, we are bringing on Ellexxah Maxwell Furlong. Ellexxah is the definition of an all around exhibitor, and we could spend this entire episode literally just talking about her past wins. I mean, she's won the Congress 17 times, from the showmanship to the eck to the ranch riding to the hunter hack and more. You name it, she's won it. And she's also a 7-time reserve AQHA world champion, a 3 times NSBA world champion, and her accomplishments just go on and on. But today we're bringing her on to talk about her 2025 Congress. She won the Amateur Hunter Hack and was reserve in the Level 1 Amateur Eck over fences, 7th in the Limited Open Super Sale Hunter Under Saddle, 9th in the Open Super Sale Hunter Under Saddle. She also killed it in the Ranch Pen and was 5th in the Amateur Ranch Trail and a finalist in the Amateur Ranch Rail. Ellexxah, first of all, thank you so much for coming on with us today. And congratulations, you had an amazing Congress.
Yeah, it was definitely a little surprising considering how my year went with not really showing a ton. So definitely thankful for some great horses and some great people.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Was that on purpose that you didn't show that much, or was that just kind of an accident?
A little bit of both. This year has been extremely crazy. My best friend got married in May. I got married in August. Life has been just a little wild. Started a new job, so unfortunately didn't leave much free time for showing horses, especially since I live pretty far from a lot of the shows that I normally do here in New York. So it was just kind of a life choice to take a step back this year, but I couldn't miss the Congress. I've never missed the Congress except for 2020, which everyone missed the Congress then, but I've never missed a Congress in my life, so couldn't miss out on this year. So it was just kind of a wing it moment, I guess.
Did you prep differently? And even though you weren't showing like you normally would throughout the year, did you kind of still stay prepping and ready and with that goal in mind?
Absolutely. I grew up as a trainer's kid, so I don't think I could ever break the mindset of constantly being prepared to show at a big time level throughout the year. My gray horse, the one they show the hunters with, he is the most easy horse to prep. And actually, the more that you prep him, the lazier he gets, the kind of flatter he gets in the show pen. So I will admit, he does not get rode and jumped a ton of times like most people would do for a fence horse. My ranch horse literally lived outside for the entirety of the year. He had to actually get his hind shoes put back on when I took him to a horse show about a couple weeks before the Congress. So definitely a different kind of prep level for what kind of horse you have. I'm
Yeah.
thankful to have two horses that are very, very broke at this moment. Next year will be a little different because I have a young horse, so definitely not going to get to sit out as much as I did this year.
Yeah, the craziness will come back to you. So, are your horses with you in New York, or where do you have your horses now?
So they're split. So my hunter horse is actually at my in-laws now. He's here in Mexico, New York, and then my ranch horse that also does the all around is with my dad in Simpsonville, Kentucky.
So, how
Oh,
does that work? Do you fly back and forth to Kentucky all the time? Like, how do you prepare differently since your horse is not in New York with you?
Normally I do go to my dad's house a couple times a year just to spend time with him and to ride my horse. But Carl is kind of similar to my gray horse. Like the more you prep him, the more he overthinks and tries to do everything for himself. So you just kind of beady bop around for a little bit, and then once you have to prep him for something, you take about 2 or 3 days and get really into him, and then he's fine. So, I will say I probably don't drive or fly down there as much as I do just to ride, more so to hang out with my dad.
yeah.
Is that hard for you mentally as a competitor to not spend a ton of time preparing?
100%. I definitely this year, like, even having my gray horse here and riding constantly, going from a place in my mind that I was showing not a ton even when I moved, but enough that I was at least at a horse show every other month or something, to only showing 3 whole horse shows this entire year, really messed with my head because you go in there and especially in the hunters themselves, yeah, there's, 20, 25 in our classes, not quite the numbers I'm used to in the all-around stuff, but 20, 25 of them are world champions and all these things, so it definitely
Wow.
kinda messes with your head when you've watched them show all year, if you watch the live stream at NSBA, you watch, the shows at Ocala and stuff like that, and then you go in and you're like, "I showed one horse show this year, and this may not go my way."
Yeah, so how do you overcome that? What was kind of your strategy going into it?
My strategy every time I do the hunters is kind of like advanced trail is just to go in and get a good ride.
Yes.
I think, and that's kind of for everything. My yellow horse is older, and he's a acquired taste in the ranch stuff right now. He's a little more old style, and sometimes that they don't really like that style anymore with the new, a little freer moving ranch horses. So you have to go in and just try to exhibit your horse to the best of your ability. You may not be the winner that day. You may not be the winner the next day. It just kinda depends on, who's judging, what the rest of the class looks like, so there's a lot of variables, but ultimately you go in like, for the hunters, I had a great ride in the working hunter, I had a great ride in the echo over fences, I had 2 little bobbles that kept me from most likely being in the top 5, and it sucked, like, that's not what I wanna do, I prepped for a good ride, and it didn't happen, but you go back, you bounce back, and you turn around and just say, "Hey, you know what? I've got another ride, another show next week, whatever." You just have to kinda take it with a grain of salt. It's the Congress is no different than a regular horse show.
Well said. I feel like so many people, tend to hold it up on this pedestal, and it is up on a pedestal, but if you treat it that way, then it's much harder to get you and your horse where you want to be. You just put too much pressure on yourself. So I definitely want to get more into the Congress, but first, I actually want to hear a little bit more about your background. So you grew up showing in the all around, and then recently started working more in like the ranch, and then now in the hunters. So when did that shift happen for you, and why did that shift happen for you?
Yeah, so I started, probably from when I was about, 4 to, I don't know, 16 or 17. All I did was the all-around stuff. That's what my parents did. It was an easy thing for me to get into just simply because we did it every single day. And then when they started the ranch events, I was hauling for all my national titles at that point, and there was a point in time that I started to get a little burnout with just doing so many repetitive classes, week after week. And it's actually how I ended up with Carl, the crank up the band horse that I show in the ranch riding. Is one of my friends had shown him in the ranch riding the first year that AQHA had offered it. She was going off to school, and I really just wanted to try it. And they gracefully let me show him at the novice championships. And then I just continued showing him. So I got more into the ranch stuff as I went, and that's when they only had the ranch riding. And then as the ranch classes grew and they added the ranch rail and the ranch trail, we just kind of moved him into that, and then he kinda turned into my all-around horse for a little while, and when I started dating my husband in 19, I just kind of he did the hunters for a long time, he's won the world show in the hunters, and I was like, "Well, this looks like fun, let's try that." I've tried a lot of things, there's probably
Yeah.
not a lot of things that I've not tried. I've shown a cutter, I've run the barrels, I've shown the reining, it's there's not a lot of things that I left unturned, and it's honestly helped me become a much well-rounded rider, in all my events.
Yeah, it's incredible to be able to do so many different disciplines. I've been blessed to be able to have a chance to try a lot as well. And I like you said, I think it makes you a more well-rounded horseman. What do you think some of the common themes across all the disciplines are that you've seen that you've been able to take and apply to your horses?
Definitely balancing your body position, you have the hunters that we ride a little more forward, we have the reiners where you're kind of rocked back, where you're getting out of that horse's way. It's taught me a lot of body control, a lot of keeping my horse in between where I want it to be, rather than almost fighting against the rhythm. I think it's helped me, especially when I'm on a young horse, like, it's helped me place my horse in positions that are more advantageous to him, rather than just kinda throwing him into a position that maybe isn't as susceptible to, a turnaround or a lead change. It's helped me kind of plan out my patterns, my courses, my rides a whole lot easier. I think just kind of taking every little bit of knowledge I have from each discipline and kind of putting it together.
Which one was the most difficult when you first tried it?
The hunters.
Yeah.
The hunters was terrible. For about 2 years after I did the hunters, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my husband said, "I love you, but I don't know if this is I don't know if this is for you." It was so bad.
And what made you keep persevering?
I never back down from a challenge. I am the most stubborn person probably on the face of the planet. So if someone tells me I can't do something, I will figure out a way to do it. So it was just kind of keep practicing. And the move to New York, where the hunters are more prominent and we were more set up here for me to kind of further along my knowledge, was definitely a big helping point to it.
Well, and what a test of your relationship too. If he can teach you to jump a horse, then I feel like you guys can make it through anything.
Oh yeah, there was some times he's like, "I'm trying to be nice, but I don't know what to tell you at this moment."
Here, I'll just film it and you figure it out from there.
Yeah, everyone who has the horse husbands that have 0 idea what is going on, be very grateful, because 'cause I'm telling you, the ones that know and you have, like, a semi-good pattern, and then they're like, "Nah, could've been better. I've seen you do better," and you're like, "Okay."
It's a catch-22 for sure to have to be with a horse person or not with a horse person. Every once in a while, I'm like, "Man, it'd be kinda nice to have, like, a partner who, like, would come up to the barn and, like, ride with me and that sort of stuff." And then I'm like, "Nope, I'm really, really glad that he doesn't know really much of anything about horses." It's really nice.
Yep,
It's nice to have something that's your own, but then it's also nice
right.
to have something that you can share together. So, like, there's benefits to both.
It's kind of a whole different, deal, cause his family so his dad used to be a trainer, has set out for several years and actually is back to being an amateur,
Oh, okay.
now, but his aunt runs Popple Ridge Farm, which is where my horse is right now. They help me for the most part because my husband travels a lot for work, but it's a group effort for sure, you know? His dad, being my father-in-law, gives me tips, my husband gives me tips, now my in-laws are my trainers, you know, it's a group effort on all aspects, but it is different, you know, being almost 2 trainers' kids now,
Yeah.
it's definitely a little different to kinda juggle people on both sides, you know, always feeling like you get more help than you actually do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But it's just so nice though to have that support, whenever you really do the times do come through that you do need it.
It is, and I'm so appreciative of it because I obviously grew up as a trainer's kid and then moving away, I was concerned going to a different barn that I wasn't gonna feel that inclusion, like I did obviously at my own family's barn, but they've been so welcoming and so amazing to deal with.
That
Oh, that's
that's
great.
really cool. What were some of the benefits to growing up as a horse trainer's kid?
I rode a lot of different horses, from broke ones to unbroke ones to all kinds of things. Actually, my mare that I showed for a long time, the Zipspossy chip horse, was terrible about practicing patterns. So we would take, 5 or 6 horses to the youth world and take them on to the NSBA world. So I would have to practice on those horses my world show patterns because my mare could not practice a single one of them, or she would do them all. So, it again, kind of with the different discipline thing, it really just helped by learning some different styles of horses, learning the work ethic that it took to build those kinds of horses. You know, everybody thinks, "Oh, I can go buy a $350,000 horse and go win right away." Unfortunately, that's not really the case. My favorite saying in life is, "If you buy your kid a Ferrari that just got a driver's permit, doesn't mean they can drive it."
Yes, so
Very, very
true.
true. You had the opportunity to see how the Ferrari was built, not just
Yeah,
get to take it
yeah.
for a joyride, and that I think is really, really cool.
And
Uh,
it kinda sucks though, 'cause now that I've drove one, I'm like, "Oh, I kinda like it when it's half built more often."
And you can kind of have an opportunity to keep doing that, like with your ranch horse, reinventing him as an all arounder, right? Even though he's got some
Yes.
great skills in all of the maneuvers, can turn great, run fast, to be able to teach him to do the different event, that takes a lot of time and skill too.
Yeah, I'd even taught the hunter to do the showmanship, and actually, I would rather show the hunter in the showmanship than I would the ranch horse. Carl has a mind of his own.
The hunter's more obedient.
Carl.
Yeah, Carl likes to just make drama. I was right up there with Eric Mandrisa at the NSVA World and had a beautiful pattern. I mean, we were gonna be neck and neck, and I got to my last spin, and I swear to God, that horse turned around and looked at me and goes, "I'm just gonna lift little bit lift my foot right here." And I was like, "Okay."
He's like,
Aw.
you don't need a
I don't know
trophy
why.
today.
Yeah, no. No.
He's like, "You thought,
Oh.
Mom. You thought.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show
And then you got
you."
the gray horse that's just like, "I'll just set up all ready for you." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh,
You're
so
like,
are you
this
gonna
is
show the gray
nice.
horse in the showmanship?
I actually did show him at the World Show last year in the green non-pro.
Oh,
I
that's
was 6th
awesome.
in the green non-pro. He's for sale
Congratulations.
right
Congratulations.
now. So,
Oh. Hey, Lauren, you've been talking about wanting to do the jumping more.
Yeah, I'm for sure gonna take Dixie to go and do it. So, well, or I could get one that would show me how to do it. Maybe I should start there. Yeah, what do you recommend on that? Did you start with a horse that already knew how to jump when you were first learning?
so I did. There's a program called the Reride Quarter Horse Adoption Program, which they're now based out of Florida. At the
Okay.
time, they were based in Marysville, Ohio. They had, I don't know if either of you remember Karen Evans Monday
Yeah.
and the article,
Yeah.
Big Time Horse. So he was actually in their program to be rehomed,
Oh,
and we
wow.
ended up with him. So he was the first horse I ever jumped. We called him the Big Green Giant because this
What a
horse was the
gift.
most gentle horse ever. I only got to show him one time, and then he had some unfortunate issues just with old age that we had to
Yeah.
put him down. I definitely would recommend having a horse that maybe not is so much of a packer, but will save you if need be.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose your confidence and, get nervous and scared about the fences
How
if you're
high do you
starting off.
jump?
Well, the novice is gonna be 2.6, and
Okay.
the rookie, which most places do not have, only really the novice championships has the rookie is 2.3, but the amateur is normally 3 foot.
And so my friend, she does some of the open jumping circuits like in California, and over there she'll say that they set it quote unquote soft. So a 2-3 is sometimes a little bit less than a 2-3. Is
Yeah,
is that accurate in the quarter horse world as well sometimes?
I believe so, like, especially at the novice championships for
Yeah.
sure. Once you for me, like, I was still very novice, but my horse is more fit for the 3 foot. He doesn't really like the smaller fences. But I did notice this year at the novice championships, my last year that I went, it felt small after I've jumped the 3 foot.
Yeah.
The 2.6 felt very small.
So that was one thing that was also interesting is there are horses that thrive over the big fences and then you do the low ones and they actually struggle a lot. Do you find that when you're riding a big fence, you have more confidence or less?
Actually, now I do have more confidence. When I started, I did not. This probably sounds terrible to say, but in the 3 foot, if you make instant decisions and it's wrong, you're more likely to get hurt doing
Yeah,
that.
fair.
Where the 2.6, you can kinda make a chip decision and, you just kinda pop over it and it's not pretty, but there's no real danger there.
Yeah.
The 3 foot, especially for when the amateur stuff, they do the 2 strides, they do the in and outs. If you get in bad, you're getting out bad. So, it's definitely there's no split-second decision in the higher fences. I have more confidence because my horse jumps better, he likes the bigger fences, he pulls me to the bigger fences. But I think it just kinda depends on what horse you I did have a horse that didn't like the bigger fences and would kinda suck back a little bit, so it definitely depends on what horse you have.
So interesting. That's amazing. And good for you for being able to embrace it all. Do you think some of the all around work of building those patterns and having plans allowed you to now handle the mental planning of a bigger course?
100%. Like, it's helped me, go in and think, "Okay, well, this is set at a little bit of an angle," similar to a trail course, if I cut this corner, then it's gonna make it kind of a slice like on a serpentine trail pole where I'm more likely to hit it or more likely to, change leads right before the fence. So there's definitely a process that I took over from the all-around stuff that moved into my ranch riding, that moved into my hunters for pretty much everything.
And what about if you get into those kind of tough spots? You said that if you make a bad decision and a 3 fit, you have a chance of getting hurt. How do you overcome that fear?
It's a lot of trust. You have to trust your horse. I always laugh because when I first started off in the amateur stuff, my horse was a saint. I mean, he was not broke, but he was a saint at that time. And definitely one of the rare ones that probably shouldn't have been taking a novice kid and a horse that, never seen a actual fence course before, but he was one that you just throw away your hands. Most likely, the best option for you when you have a bad spot in that 3 foot is just to get out of your horse's way. They're all broke. They know what to do. Let them save themselves.
Scary.
It's a scary
It
thought.
sounds terrifying.
The first thing they tell you when you start jumping, and my husband told me this, he said, "If you're gonna be afraid of hitting the ground, this is not for you."
So you definitely have health insurance.
Yes,
Yeah. Uh,
very, very much so.
it's a really good thing that I did not continue to pursue my jumping career after I showed the cross rails one time because I am definitely fearful of hitting the ground. And it's a good thing that I do not want to jump higher than that. Although I did get up to jumping to 9, I just never showed it. But that was way back when I had a lot less fear. So how are you not scared of hitting the ground?
It kinda goes back to that trust thing, and you build up a lot of groundwork with your horse. You have that kind of, "I know he's gonna take my spot." My horse is not a horse that adds any strides in. You'll see some horses that'll chip in, as we call it, same as with the trail pole, they get tight to the poles. My horse is not one of those. He doesn't like to take the spot. He likes to take it from far away. My husband has multiple times said, "I have 0 idea how your horse jumps from that far," but
But he does.
he takes very good care of me. But, like I said, it's a trust thing. Like you do anything in our sport, even when I ran the barrels, there's no second guessing of whether that horse is gonna be there for you or not. You just have to say, "Okay, it's there, here we go."
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really good advice.
Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with show pin anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and am here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
Hi, everyone. It's your personal trainer, Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopeanddowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
So, are you going to continue pursuing the jumping and trying to do more horses like that and bigger jumps, or do you miss the all around?
A little bit of both. I kinda bounce back and forth. My ranch horse is getting a little older, so he's kind of on his semi-retirement list. He's won me enough stuff, he gets to do whatever the heck he wants, but my gray horse is for sale for me to buy a project hunter.
Fun.
Ooh,
I decided a few years ago, when I was a youth kid, I had toyed with the idea of giving up my card and becoming a trainer, but just for my location, for what I would wanna do as an all-around trainer, it's not the best in New York. It's just the shows are not close enough. The clientele here really is pushed towards the hunters instead. And it's just not what I wanna do anymore. I've actually become a real amateur, and I like my outside time and my lake weekends and, all my fun things that I get to do now. Um, but my husband and I made the decision that I would have a horse for as long as I wanted. I mean, he really does not care. He's tried to talk me out of selling my current horse, but ultimately, I wanna be able to just have a horse for a few years and flip it and just continue to be able to show what I wanna show that way.
Yeah, and get
Um,
the challenge
but I
of
do
just
have an all-around
creating
horse
one.
for next year.
Oh, and is that one that you have made or are making right now?
Yes. So I actually showed him. It's a cool deal where I'm leasing him from the couple that my dad actually works for in Kentucky. They have a beautiful farm there. That's where my yellow horse is living his best life in their gorgeous facility. But they had bred or bought, I suppose, bought a yearling from Kristen Gallion during her dispersal sale. And they had him and they tried to sell him in the super sale and he just didn't bring what they wanted. And they were like, "We're not really sure what to do with him." So I said, "Well, I was in the market of purchasing a yearling, obviously not for what you want for him, but I will happily lease him and take him off your food bill for a while." So I showed him in the 2-year-old hunter saddle at the Congress. He was fantastic. Honestly, as many horses as I have shown and rode, this was the most quiet 2-year-old I have ever been on in my life.
Oh, how fun. And so then
He's got the coolest feel.
you'll do the all around with him next year as the 3-year-old?
Yes, yeah, he'll do most likely just the green non-pro stuff.
Isn't it
That's
so nice that
awesome.
they have that class?
Yeah, yeah, so he'll do the green non-pro. I'll probably show him in the 3-year-old, trail stakes.
Yeah.
Most likely, I mean, goals, he may not wanna do it next year. He may wait another year. It's up to
We'll
him.
see what
It's
happens.
up to him. It's up to him, but he is the most willing horse. Like, our night of practice we had for the 2-year-old in the Celeste was supposed to be at, like, 4 something, and it ended up being at 5:30. I was so tired from banding and doing all this stuff, I was like, "Oh, just get out there," and I saddled him up in the hunt seat saddle, which he hadn't had on until I got to the Congress. Walked halfway up to Celeste, and it was warmer, but it was still 50 degrees outside, and I got up there in my breeches and with my 2-year-old, and I stopped dead in the middle of Celeste, and I was like, "I did not lunge this horse. I don't have a way to lunge this horse." I pulled the cooler off of him, got on, walked a lap, and he trotted on a full drape down the side of that Celeste arena like he'd been
Oh,
in there 100 times.
that is so cool. I love that.
I am super excited for him. He's gonna be cool.
I love how, as an amateur who, is in their young 20s, horses are expensive. And I love how you still found a way to get yourself a project without having to spend a ton of money. Like, I think that a lot of times people get into the sport and they're like, well, I don't have the money to buy a 20, 30, 40, $50,000 plus horse to be able to show. So I'm just going to throw the towel in and not do it. And I just love how, if you want something bad enough, you find a way to make it happen. Can you talk about maybe some other ways that you're kind of a scrappy amateur, like how you make it all work?
Yeah, so it's a fun fact, actually. The most expensive horse that I've ever bought was 30,000, and that's my gray horse.
That's
Wow.
awesome. I love
Good
it.
for you.
My mare that holds the record and my gelding that I won the all-around amateur with were both 65, $7,500.
I love
Wow.
that. So
It
so
was a
how'd you
lot of time.
so how'd you find them? Just diamonds in the rough?
My mare was a random encounter with Becky Schooler that had bought her out of a Finley sale, and the only reason that I ended up with her was because she was small, and I was,
Mm.
just showing the cookie baker, and I needed a new horse, and I was the smallest kid that they could find that wasn't afraid of her because she was crazy. I love her, but she was crazy.
And that's okay.
And then my gelding, I actually went to Lehman Farms to look at a different yearling, as a youth kid. I was my project because, again, like you said, I knew I couldn't afford to go buy a step-up horse for me to show the amateur and fit that kind of caliber, right away, so I ended up buying a yearling in 17, and I went to Lehman Farms, and it was random. I went to look at his full brother, actually, and I liked him, but he wasn't what I wanted, and I walked out into their field. They were showing us some other babies and stuff, just wander around, and he was just in the field, and I was like, "What's this one?" And she said, "We're not really sure what to do with that one because he's not grown." I mean, he was tiny. He was like 14 2 at best. And they threw him in the round pen. We tapped him with the freaking whip on the butt several times, and this yearling just looked at him like, "No, I'm not going."
Yeah.
You're like, "Sold. I'm taking that
Yep,
one."
I bought him. The funniest part is they brought him to the Congress. I was not there when they dropped him off, and my dad called me. He said, "You need to call them back." I said, "Why?" He goes, "They brought the wrong horse."
This
I
is a
said,
wean lane?
I don't think they brought the wrong horse." He goes, "This thing is 16 hands."
Oh,
She freaking shot up like a weed. She said, "Not you." She said, "No kidding, the day you bought him," she's like, "overnight, he grew like a freaking weed." I mean, he
Oh
was
my
huge.
god.
He was a
oops.
monster. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the Best Cowboy Around horse,
I
how big he
do.
was,
Yeah,
but, like, he was a monster.
he was so tall. He was a nice horse.
He he shouldn't have been tall. He was a best cowboy the cowboy around. He was out of the cowboy horse and out of, Judd Paul's mare that Only the Best Chocolate that Paulina Martz used to show.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where that hype came from, but he had it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, well, it happens sometimes. You did not get a small horse out of that deal, but you got a great horse out
No.
of that deal, so that's the
Keep
important part.
searching, never give up, that is
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so do you have any advice for maybe an amateur who's listening to this who just feels overwhelmed by the cost of horses?
If you're a DIY, definitely reach out to trainers in your area. You don't have to go and live at their barn, be their full-time people. But if you send them videos, they will more than happy to give you tips, give you tricks. There's a whole page on the website, and I would have to look it up to know exactly what it is. But AQHA has a find a professional near me. Definitely utilize that. There are so many people that are willing to help, and I know, from the outside looking in, it seems very cliquey, very close-knit, very, "If you don't belong here, we're not gonna talk to you." That's not how it is. I have had a multitude of trainers, and yes, I'm on the inside, but a multitude of trainers that have stepped up and helped me, that I've witnessed step up and help other people that have never been to a horse show. I actually cleaned stalls for Joni Specht. I've known her for so long. Had a girl that it was her first AQHA show, and she went up, helped them, let her stall with them. It was pretty cool to see that people will still do that and step up. So definitely reach out to people around you. They will more than be willing to help.
Yeah, and I experienced that too back in 2020 when everything shut down because, California especially was don't go anywhere, don't do anything. And so I was kind of stuck using the phone and using videos and relying on calling people. And I was blown away by how willing the top trainers were to just like take 10 minutes, watch your video, and give you advice that really changed the way that I looked at how I was riding my horse, and I will forever be grateful for that. So, yeah, just reach out and you'll be really, really glad that you did, I think.
Yeah, good advice. Well, let's get into the actual Congress. I feel like we haven't even talked that much about Congress yet. So tell us in detail about your Congress this year. How far out did you start planning to go? Your decision to, you took 3 horses, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and you competed in 3 different events. So I want to hear about that, why you decided to take 3 horses, and did you meet your goal for Congress? Like, I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to the Congress in about May. That was kind of when my husband and I sat down to make the decision. Obviously, as I said before, our year was pretty hectic. So I made the decision not to go to the NSBA World, which I normally do, just because of its proximity to our wedding. I made the decision not to go to the World Show again. Just kind of everything was due all at one point in time. And
Yes.
let me tell you, if you've not planned a wedding yet, oof, okay,
Oh my god, it's like the
buckle up.
worst it's like the worst best thing ever.
It sounds like the
It's
day of is amazing, and I would 100% do it again. The 300 and some days before that, no thank you. It was definitely a lot, but so once I figured out that I was going to the Congress, I really didn't change my prep schedule, I didn't change my riding schedule. I go to the gym and stay in shape when I'm not able to go ride. Obviously, work, sometimes I can't get there, but I still go and I do the stair step or something that gets my legs working for the majority of the time. So, for my horse, I don't over prep for any big horse show. My biggest pet peeve when I see people go to a horse show is you don't ride your horse 6 times at home every day.
True.
You don't need to ride your horse 6 times at the Congress. It's not gonna change what you're doing. You do your prep work at home. Your horse should be ready and prepped by the time you get there. Maybe tweak a few things, but you shouldn't have to change your whole prep schedule once you
Yeah.
get there. It's gonna mess you up
Yeah,
more
there's
than anything.
that quote that you earn your trophies at home, you just pick them up at the horse show.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. So then going to the Congress, it is hard, for me because I show so many events. Like you said, I decided kind of last minute I was taking my ranch horse. So we have a Eastern Ohio show that's in Columbus at the fairgrounds about a week and a half before Ranch Week moves in. So it's pretty big. I mean, it's huge. So I had decided I was taking Carl there. Carl had not been shown since the Congress the year before. And I just schooled. I did all the events, just kind of worked through some stuff. Basically just got him comfortable. And then we went to the Congress with him. The hunter horse, I get to ride him pretty much every day here, but when I'm gone there for the Congress for that week, for the ranch week, my cousin now, through marriage, had showed him at the Congress as well in the hunter hack. So she kept him prepped for me, basically just riding him. I don't even think she jumped him maybe one time. And then the 2-year-old was just kind of a guess. We entered him just to see. He was already eligible for that Super Sale Stakes class, and we took him to the Eastern Ohio show about a week and a half before the Congress. And at that point in time, I was not sure we were gonna be showing. I really wasn't. He was close, but not quite, just wasn't quite where I wanted him to be in that atmosphere.
But you did it anyway.
I did, and like I said, that I've shown a lot of horses, but that was probably the easiest hunter under saddle ride I've ever had in my life.
That is so cool. I want to
Ye-
hear what it took to show a 2-year-old in a class. Like, what was the hardest part and what was the easiest part about it?
I've actually never shown a 2-year-old at the Congress. This was my first stakes class, actually. The biggest thing is like I said, this year's been super busy, so I have not had a chance to go down and ride him, and he'd only had about, I don't know, I wanna say 100 and some days, so I think, like,
Oh my
maybe
gosh.
June he started riding.
Oh, wow. So he
We
was
do
not very broke at all. That is
No.
impressive.
We do a lot of groundwork with ours. When I broke out the best cowboy around horse, we do a lot of line driving on the ground with a surcingle. That's how we break all of ours. So when you get on, and most of them are pretty broke to the saddle by then, so he was super easy, but just face-wise, he just wasn't staying where I wanted. So the hardest part was not overriding. Once I got him, like, the first 3 or 4 days, he, like, settled for some weird reason. He just knew what he was supposed to do, so I just let it
Wow.
happen. The biggest thing was not overriding. My dad was like, "Do you wanna take him out again?" I'm like, "I don't. I rode him for 20 minutes and he was perfect, everything I asked for."
Hmm.
Like, I don't wanna go out and the more I ride, the worse it gets.
So
The
that's
easiest thing was just not, like, having any expectations. I mean, it's still as long as you stayed on, that was the expectation.
yeah, that you could have won for as far as everybody else was concerned that day because you stayed on. Yeah.
Right, yeah, I mean, I stayed on in all my classes this year, that was my Congress goal, so I
Yes.
did meet that. I did not stay on my bike for the Congress this year, I flipped right over
No.
the handlebars. Oh my gosh, so bad, and there was not even drinking involved.
Oh
I wish
no.
there
Oh
was, I wish
no.
there was, it woulda hurt a little
A
less.
little less, and you could have blamed it on the alcohol. That you just have yourself to blame.
Oh my gosh, I literally avoided that pothole for the rest of the horse show,
Yeah. Oh my god, that's awesome.
and it was
Well,
the one day it was pouring.
of course, of course. So you got
Thank
all wet.
goodness.
Were you in show
Oh,
clothes?
yeah. No, I was
Okay,
actually
good.
coming back from cleaning stalls, but I was in the
Oh,
middle of the Gilligan, so my coat was, like, soaked from being outside,
oh, oh
and it was right in
no.
front of Katie Joe's Itemas stalls, and I hit so hard that they heard it in their stalls.
Oof.
Oh no.
Like,
Oh,
I knocked the
poor
wind out of me, my
thing.
face had road rash on it, it was terrible. It was
Oh my
terrible.
god. Hey, I mean, if that's the only thing that bucked you off at Congress, then you're doing pretty good.
I went up to the show pen, like, 10 minutes after that, and my dad's like, "What did you
Yeah.
do to your
Like, I'm not
face?" I'm
ready
like,
for
We're
this.
not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it."
Mhm.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats, we have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. I wanted to take a moment to thank our very first gold sponsor, Hobby Horse Clothing Company. If you're looking for a cost effective way to elevate your look at the horse show, check out what Hobby Horse has to offer. From budget friendly crystal jackets to simple show shirts to stylish lifestyle tops, Hobby Horse has everything you need to look your best. Make sure you use code EYR2025 for an additional 10% off at checkout. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Elevate Your Ride. We're so excited to continue helping you elevate your performance in the saddle. To keep bringing you quality content and information, we're asking you to help us. Tell your friends about us on our podcast, like and share a meaningful quote you saw on our social media, write us a review on Spotify or Facebook. You can also join our Facebook group and ask all your health and fitness questions, or maybe post a success story to motivate another amateur. Your engagement really helps us support and encourage the equestrian community. We're also inviting sponsors and supporters to help us build our show. As a sponsor, starting at just $150, you'll receive marketing on our podcast, website, and growing social media platforms for your business. It's the perfect way to connect with the equestrian community and showcase your brand to our dedicated listeners. And for our supporters, your $50 contribution gets you a shout out on our social media and website. Every bit of support really helps fuel the show and helps us inspire and motivate equestrians. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can scroll down to the show notes of this episode and look for the become a supporter or become a sponsor links and click on those to get some more information. Thank you for listening. We can't wait to continue expanding our platform and helping you elevate your ride.
So, had you taken that many horses to Congress or any horse show before? Like, three is a lot, especially with one of them being a 2-year-old and three completely different events, nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm sad to say that that is definitely not the, most amount of horses I've ever taken to a horse show. I think
What?
my last year at the Youth
Wow.
World, I took 6 horses to the horse show. 6? I had 2
6?
ranch horses. I had 2 ranch horses. I had my good mare, I had the best cowboy around horse, I had
Wow.
another trail horse, and I had a halter
So
horse.
let's talk about that a little
Oh
bit,
my
switching
god.
gears mentally between
That's a
each
lot.
horse, because as we know, everyone has their own personality, their own preferences. Do you have like a little cheat sheet, or do you just feel like you put the time in before you got to the show so you know what your plan is for each one before you get there? Or how do you switch so well between them all?
I definitely put my plan in before I get there. Each horse is extremely different for sure. That year I had my mare and my one gelding rode very similar. The Zips Bossy chip horse, like I said, she was kind of already ready to go. The less you rode her, the better. She was one we legitimately pulled out of the stall and showed. That was just her. She was way better that way. The other two were younger, so it was just kind of getting a feel for how they were going to be in that setting. And the 2 ranch horses, the one was a little more excitable than the
Yeah,
other, so we
that's
just
fair.
galloped that one down. That was just about it. I mean, it was you
Yeah.
kinda have to get on and just feel what they're feeling that day. My mare was the best
Mm.
teacher for that because and I tell this to everybody, she's the only horse in my life that I've ever got on, and, you'll get on one and they'll be like, I don't really wanna do it today," and you're like, "No, no, no, we're gonna do it today." She was the only horse I had ever gotten on in my life that she said, "No, we're not doing it today." And you're like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing it today. Whatever you say, we're not doing it today."
Oh.
I feel like I heard a story somewhere. I think it was on a different podcast. Was she the one that you had trouble with, like, right before you went into a class?
At the World Show, yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, remind me that story because I remember bits and pieces, but not the whole thing.
Yeah, this is when we still had all one, level. I mean, it was just one class at the Youth World, maybe one of the last years that they had it. And I was waiting for the semifinal go. So they'd done the 2 prelims. I'd made it back to the semifinals for the horsemanship. And I was like the last person to go. And I was walking around. Of course, it's, 100 degrees in Oklahoma City in August. And I had my hat in one hand and my water bottle in the other. And I had my reins looped around my horn, just walking around like everybody does. We were just kind of waiting. And I don't even remember who it was that came in front of me. She just kinda cut across, not even close to my mare, but she was weird about traffic, so she flipped her head up in the air. I didn't think anything about it. I mean, like I said, she did it all the time. Well, when she plopped her head back down, my bridle was so old that the little, like, silver ball that you pull your, leather through to keep your bridle hooked to your
Yeah.
headstall snapped and dropped off the one side of her face.
Oh my
No.
Well, when the
god.
one pressure let go, it snapped the other side.
Oh, no.
So, the bit fell out of her mouth and hit her in the front legs, and
Oh,
I
no.
mean, this mare let loose.
Oh,
I
no.
had no hands to grab anything. I had my
Oh,
water bottle, my
no.
hat. I ran a full lap, and of course, everyone's down there on both sides, of that Noric makeup pen like it was. There was not a
Oh,
single soul
jeez.
down there. Both sides were wide open. My dad goes, "I saw the fear of God," because he said, "I saw that mare running towards that
Yeah.
concrete, and as fast as she was going, if we hit, we were dead."
Oh,
For some reason, she didn't go that way. She turned right towards where they have, like, the little, check-in gate right before you'd walk down the chute. She, like, headed towards where Mark Hill now sits there if you're at the World Show, and she kinda rocked back, and I thought, "Oh god, you're actually gonna jump this, and then we're really gonna be dead." And I've said "whoa" like 16 times, she's not stopped. For some reason, I said "whoa" one more time, and that mare stopped,
oh,
dead
thank
still.
God.
And then I'm standing there with no bridle, still holding everything, I didn't drop anything.
That's impressive.
And Chad Evans runs over and they're like, you gotta go down the chute. The girl before you is getting ready to head in.
Oh
Like
my
and there's
gosh.
no other they can't put another person. I was last to go. They couldn't put another person in front of me. So I'm like, "Oh god. Okay, here we go." So Chad Evans ran over, grabbed a headstall from his stalls that were right there, put it on my
Good for you.
bridle. I went in, made the finals.
Wow.
I went on, I was 5th that year, and we went to the NSBA world after that, and I wanna say it was Sissy Anderson that walked up to me. She was judging at the world show, and then she went on to go show at the NSBA, and she goes, "I just wanted to tell you, you know how Southern Sissy is, uh, how you have ice water in your veins." And I looked at her all confused, and she's like, "They had the remote, like, the walkie-talkies on in the
Oh my
check-in while
gosh.
everyone was screaming while you were running around."
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, "Great." So every single person in there knew that I'd
A
taken a lap. She
joyride.
goes,
A little
yeah, she's like,
joyride.
"We all knew it was either gonna be really good or really bad."
Oh my god. So, how do you mentally recover from that? Like, do you just take a deep breath and say, "All right, we're gonna go in there and pretend like nothing happened," or were you, like, scared shitless the whole time you were in there? Like,
That mare had a knack for showing up when she needed to, so I definitely was like, "Alright, panicking about this is not gonna do me any good. We might as well just go in and
Yeah.
give it what we." Yeah. Yeah, at that point, I was like, "I just go in and wing
Good
it
for
most of the time
you.
anyway,"
Wow,
so
that is really cool. What do you think one of the most memorable rides is for you, or showmanship runs? Would it be that one?
I've had thankfully a long list of things that have been a cool experience for me. My favorite win is probably gotta be the
And
first year that I won the showmanship with her. I had the tightest extended trot cone I think I've ever had in my life.
that's awesome.
It was the only time I ever left the pen, and I was in tears
oh,
because I
that's
was like,
cool.
I can't give any more than I did."
Wow. So cool. Such a cool experience. Alexa, why do you show horses?
I love it. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to be the best because as a trainer's kid, you have a lot of people watching you. You have the expectation to always be the best. And the one best thing about moving away from that and being able to show, unfortunately not as much as I used to, but as a more limited scale has kind of helped me realize just how much I love the sport. I love the people, the atmosphere. The Congress is amazing for not just the ability to show with the best, but you get to have that kind of family atmosphere the entire time. And it was one of the things that I definitely missed from not being there all year.
What is it about the Congress that pulls you in?
Well, I have friends from all across the country, I have several outside of the country, and the Congress is the one place that we get to constantly be together. My best friend lives in Gainesville, Texas, so she's 24 hours away from me for 95% of the year, and she's actually a trainer now. So it was cool just to be able to have more time with her, but I get to spend time with my own family since we're far apart now, people that I don't get to see like I used to every weekend. Going showing in Ohio, you'd see the same people, you know, 500 times a year, and now only seeing them 3 or 4 is kind of shocking. But the Congress, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things like Christmas, and I'm not a Christmas person, unfortunately, but it's like the Christmas spirit is you really can't describe how it happens, you just know it's there. And I think that's what makes the Congress one of the most special things, the most special places to show.
How do you handle the Congress? How do you handle the long hours, the weeks on end, free horses, sometimes more? And on top of it, you kick ass. How do you do it?
You have to break it down, and like I said earlier, it's a horse show, it's very easy to walk through Congress Hall and see that whole staircase full of trophies and wanna work really hard, myself included. When I got through my hunter classes, I knew that for me, my best chance was in the hunters simply because that's what I'd been riding all year, that's what I'd constantly been working on, and when I had those little bobbles, it was hard to, kind of reel yourself back and be like, "No, you don't come here to win, you come here to win for yourself. Yeah, the trophy's great,
Mhm.
but they collect dust, they get dirty, you don't have anywhere to put them. You're gonna remember the moment more than you remember the prize."
Yeah, sometimes you might even use your trophies as dumbbells.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I did
Al
do that.
Alexa and I used to work out, like, together
Oh, that's
way back when I first started my personal training business, and she did not have dumbbells, but she had trophies, and so
I
we
did
literally
use
worked out
those.
with trophies. I have a picture of you, like, doing a bicep curl with trophies, and to this
I did,
day,
yeah.
oh,
it is one of
that's
my
great.
favorite pictures.
I definitely will say I way more remember the people that I surrounded myself with. the horse that put all of the effort in just as much as
Yes.
I did, more than I remember what trophy I won, for sure.
Such good advice. For anybody who's listening to this, maybe hit that rewind button and listen to that again because that is really important. And we do this podcast to talk about goals and how to be the best version of yourself and how to be the best competitor. But at the end of the day, you have to enjoy it. And if you're not having fun and enjoying the process, then what's the point? So that's really good advice. What's one of your favorite memories about the Congress?
Actually, probably my last youth year, I was on the Ohio Quarterhorse Youth Association's NIAT team. I showed the NIAT for most of my youth career, but I legitimately never showed anything other than the showmanship. But my last youth year, myself and my fellow Ohio teammate, who was also a barn mate in our barn, Ryan Flowers, we were first and second in the NIAT showmanship.
That's pretty cool.
So it was really cool just to have someone that, you warmed up with, you trained with for the entire year, be able to stand with you. And we were both on the same team, so it was super cool.
Yeah.
That is so
What
cool.
advice do you have for somebody attending their first Congress?
Take it all in. Do not try to
Yeah.
dissect everything. If you really try to look too close at all of the Congress, you are going to be so overwhelmed and just beyond help at that point because there is a lot happening.
I want to hear more about how you prep for the Congress when you're at home. So obviously you said that you ride your hunter horse, but what do you do outside of riding? Like I know that you said that you're in the gym working out, which I am so proud that you're still doing that. So it's awesome for you. But I mean, are you watching live streams of horse shows that you're not at? Are you watching training videos? Like what are you doing outside of at the barn to keep your mind, keep your body in shape for showing horses?
Live streams. Watch a lot of the live streams. If you're planning on going to any of these big horse shows or even, weekend horse shows, depending on where you are, a weekend horse show, especially like Ohio, a weekend horse show can be just as tough as a world show in some places, just because of the proximity to some really talented exhibitors, trainers, all of the above. I watch the live streams religiously. I was actually watching that today before we did this podcast.
I actually
Um,
was too.
it's a good idea of what the judges are looking for, what you need to work on as an exhibitor. If you go and you watch,
Right.
I mean, the queen herself, Kalina Weekly, go show at the World Show, and you see, okay, her upper body position is so still when she turns around. This horse is quick off of the turns, into those transitions. That's what my horse can't do. Then that's what you go home and work on. You take the World Show patterns, you take the World Show courses, you take the Congress patterns, you work them until you can do them in your sleep. Maybe not the whole pattern. Maybe it's, oh, well, they had to back the L at the World Show.
Hmm.
Let's get that until I can do that efficiently and correctly. So it's little things. I mean, you don't have to be able to go out and score a 98 pattern the first day that you practice it. But having an idea of what they're looking for is a big deal when you go to a horse show.
Yeah, and I love that you're able to watch these videos and use it as inspiration rather than being like, "Oh, look how still Kalina is. I could never do that." You say, "Hey, yeah, I want to be like her." And I think that a lot of people can benefit if they approach it with that mindset to be able to improve.
Most definitely. And I say this from a place that I have been before. Jealousy does not breed success. It's really easy to wish that you could do what other people do. I've done it before. I've never won the world show in my life. And there's constant times that I'm like, why is anything that I'm doing not enough? And that's not what it's about. It's not my time yet. I haven't put the right effort in. Maybe I've put enough effort in, but maybe it's not the right level. Maybe I need to stop pushing so hard. Maybe I need to just think about the ride a little more. There are constant goals that you can reach. It doesn't have to be winning a world title. It doesn't have to be going to the Congress. It can be, I want to get
Mhm.
through this
Yeah.
pattern today without a penalty. So you have to break it down to what level you're expecting yourself to be at.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that is the most sustainable way to do it, right? Because we are doing a judged sport, and sometimes what we think is enough, it might not be that day. And that's okay because there is always another day and another horse show, and we can try again.
Exactly. There was a comment in a Facebook group this year that somebody was asking about why are all the same people winning? It's not because they have more expensive horses. It's not because they have shown more in the year. They work hard.
Yeah.
They are constantly working hard.
Yeah, there was actually a post in the Add More Leg group last week that just I couldn't stop myself from commenting on it. They were basically saying, how do we feel about trainers, spouses, or previous trainers, competing as an amateur? Obviously as a trainer after they've done their time, stepping back from the show pen, stepping back from training horses. Like they've done their due diligence, and now the association lets them compete as an amateur again. And I kind of couldn't stop myself from commenting and saying, you know what, if you want to beat somebody, work harder than them, you know? And if you're upset that somebody's better than you, then figure out how you need to work harder to be better than them.
I did see that post and I refrained from commenting because it's very easy to look at trainers' wives or trainer spouses and be like, "Oh, well, they have all the knowledge." I do. That
Right.
doesn't mean that I can sometimes implement it.
Well, right. Okay. So listen to how hard Ellexxah works. Ellexxah does not have success because she grew up as a trainer's kid. Ellexxah has success because she worked her butt off to get to where she is. And she continues to work her butt off to get to where she's going.
And as she mentioned earlier, you weren't given the Ferraris. You had the horses that you developed and that maybe that they needed a little extra help and you put the time in and it accomplished it.
You can ask my dad. He cannot ride a single one of my horses. We do not ride the same. We do not ride the same.
I love it. Who do you look up to in our industry?
Oh, it's a long list. It is a definite long list. Growing up in the era that was Allie Pappendick and Jillian Chant and Paris Rice, and I could list 500 other people that I showed with, Taylor Searles, Harley Huff, we all grew up together. It's very easy to pick any one of those girls to look up to, especially since we competed together, we fought together, it's kind of like a friendship in battle thing, I suppose. But, I mean, my dad, he works the hardest of anybody I know. He puts all the time into these horses, maybe not with all the thanks that he gets, but he works the hardest that I'd probably
Oh.
ever seen. He works way harder than me, that's for sure.
What has your dad taught you about life and about showing horses?
Oh, I'm gonna try not to tear up because my dad is
Aw.
my dad's biggest thing when I moved was to believe in myself because he knew how hard the youth career that I had was on my mental stability for a long time. And his biggest thing was he goes, I
And,
want you to get back in the show pen and enjoy it.
and do you think that you're doing that now?
Oh, absolutely. I fell off last year at the Congress and I still came back.
That's great. And that's really cool that your dad could like recognize that that's what you needed and where you wanted to be is to enjoy and have fun and appreciate that part of it and then still support you on achieving your highest dreams whenever you're ready.
Yeah, he definitely knows that I'm competitive to a fault, but he said, he goes, you need to step back and realize kind of why you're still doing
Yeah.
this.
So why are you doing it?
Again, because I love it. I mean, the horses are a part of my life. I wouldn't have met my husband without it. I wouldn't be in New York without it. I mean, I met my husband at the World Show in the pool because we both didn't make the World Show finals.
Oh,
Aw.
So I would not be where I
You know
am
what?
today without the
That
horses.
is proof that everything happens for a reason. You were probably so
yes.
mad when you didn't make the finals, but you know what? You didn't make the finals, so then you met your husband.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
You need
I
to find
did
the love of
not
your
want to
life.
date him for like 2 years after that.
My God. That's
But he
so
was
funny.
persistent, so good for him.
Oh, he was persistent, that is for sure.
Aw, that's
Probably
so
comes from
cool.
riding horses. We don't give up very
Oh my
easy.
God. I was gonna say
Yeah.
spoken like a true horse person. That's awesome.
I love that.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you face showing horses? I know that you said you had a tough youth career mentally. What's been some of the hard parts for you?
You know, it looked fun. It was fun. It was a blast to, run those years, those records, those titles and stuff like that. But when you got to a horse show and you were constantly the winner, it got to a point that and then people weren't doing this. My best friend would tell me this 100 freaking times. She's like, they don't care. But in your head, you were kind of like, "Oh, everyone expects me to be the winner. Everyone expects me to, be perfect every single time." And actually, when I started my hunter career at the end of my youth years, that was my biggest hurdle in the hunters was I
Hmm.
was not failing, but I wasn't doing good. And every time I would tell my husband, I'm like, "Listen, they're they are laughing at me because they think I'm terrible." And he's like, "No, no, they're not. Everyone is not thinking that." But again, in your head, you just kind of go through the motions as, "Oh, yeah, all these people that you see doing well, they're not just cruising through life. They are having the same mental thoughts as, well, everyone expects me to be this. I have to live up to that expectation." And I think I commented on a Facebook post during the Congress that they said, "Well, the big dogs get, free prizes.
No.
They have mediocre rides and get rewarded." I can tell you the amount of times that I've had a great ride, but it's not been my best. And I've known the judges, and they'll go, "Yeah, you were good, but I've seen you be
Hmm.
better." I would 110% love to walk into a pen when they had no idea who I was. You have such a big advantage that is so unutilized. Do your homework at home, come in and knock their freaking socks off. That's how
Right.
you win. That's how you beat those big guys. They're not unbeatable.
And I love everything that you said.
People just
Yeah,
think they
because
are. So then they
realistically,
Right.
don't
you know,
try.
judges are professionals that are being paid to do a job. They're out there to view what is put in front of them as fair as they possibly can. So if you go out there and you just knock it out, I guarantee you they'll reward you.
Oh, absolutely, and people who's not judging can see that. I went in watching the amateur horsemanship, we had nobody in the finals. I sat down, I watched half of it, Clay McDowell came in, did his pattern. I don't know if anyone's seen it on Facebook,
Oh
but
my
if you haven't,
god. It
go
was that
watch
was
it.
incredible.
I
Oh,
watched his pattern, and I got up,
Yeah,
and my best friend said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't need to see anymore."
right?
nope. Mm,
That was the winner. I don't need
yeah,
to see anymore.
God.
But
It
I
was
I know
so
Clay,
good.
and he puts in the time, he puts in the effort.
Yes. And it
Yeah,
shows.
it does. Yeah, you can tell how well he knows that horse when he shows. You can tell that he puts in the time on that horse's back. It's not Kelly putting in the time on the horse's back, it's Clay.
Right. That's a big thing that a lot of DIYs don't take into account is it's actually a big advantage for you to have your horse at home. You know that horse
Mhm.
inside and out. Whereas a
Yes.
lot of these big people, yeah,
Mhm.
they, have really great trainers doing a lot of fantastic stuff for them, getting these horses broke, getting them put together. Again, kind of back to the Ferrari. Just because you have one doesn't mean you know how to drive it. Like it is hard to beat
Exactly.
somebody that knows their horse 110%.
Yes. Amen. I could hear you say that all day long and never stop agreeing with you.
Yeah, that's something that you talk about quite a bit, Lauren, is, don't just ride your horse to get better at riding. Spend time with your horse to get to know your horse and their
Yeah.
quirks and their personalities and their tendencies. And like you just talked about in one of our recent episodes, take your horse for a walk, like actually get to know your horse as an individual. And I mean, you'll be amazed at how much better you can do at the show pen. Alexa, do you do anything with your horses outside of just showing? Like, do you take them on trail rides? Like, how do you
I
get
have
to know
taken
your
my yellow
horses?
horse on a trail ride. My gray horse is way too food motivated to go anywhere. He gets turned out in the summer when it's nice. I do turn him out. I'm just very particular about how I turn him out just because it
Yeah,
gets muddy and
yeah.
Fair.
he's a goofball and he's gray. So he gets filthy and all kinds of things. Um, but I honestly will like
Aw.
take a book to the barn and sit in his stall and,
Oh,
and read a book. Like it's just spending time with him.
that's so cool. What are you reading right now?
I think I'm reading The Wicked King. It's, like, the Cruel Prince series.
I have not heard of that.
Me neither.
Well, at least I'm not reading a smutty book at this point. I would've been worse to tell you. I was just reading Throne of Glass.
Okay. Lauren, what are you reading right now?
That's a great question. I am not actually reading. Well, we're doing Let Them as our book club, but other than
Yeah.
that, like for strictly enjoyment, I just finished one, Regretting You, which apparently is now a movie, and I didn't know that. That's probably why it popped up on my suggested things. Um, it's not hugely smutty, but it is a romance.
I love a good romance book. That's what, this one is kind
Yeah.
of. I kinda started it during the Congress, so It's been very slow, and I'm definitely not getting to meet my book goal for the year, but here we are.
Oh my god. I love how you find time to read at Congress.
I did. I finished a whole book.
That's
Wow, good for
awesome.
you.
Okay, so that I bet you use that as, like, your me time, your decompression time at Congress, yes?
It is, yeah, I actually spent a lot of it at the barn. I just sat, again, in front of my horse's stall. I left his door open, and I just sat there and I read.
How
That's
important
cool.
is finding those moments for you to having success at horse shows like the Congress?
Huge. There was a story, and it probably sounds terrible, but last year before I showed the derby, I was very, very nervous. It was my first ever derby. I just didn't feel prepared mentally. And my husband and a couple of his friends, they went out to the saloon, the Congress saloon, and they're like, "We're gonna go get drinks." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna be a good person and I'm not gonna drink tonight." I wish I did, because I didn't even make it over the second fence.
Oh, no.
So, you know what? Go out, have the freaking drink, read a book, have a good time because you're gonna feel way better about it. Because I was like, man, I didn't even have a good go and I didn't have fun. Yeah.
Yes, that's
It sounds like a terrible horse show.
right. And that's what part of it is too, is just the whole experience of enjoying our friends, enjoying our family, and enjoying the memories that we get to like come back with and be able to laugh about. Because yeah, we're only in the arena for 2 minutes. So
Right. Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna remember my one winning go from the hunter hack. All right. I also remember the night before almost missing my class and not
Oh,
finding my
no.
cooler and having people help me. Like, it's the little things that you remember. I'm gonna remember falling off my scooter more likely than I am going to be winning the class.
Oh my god, I love it.
If Carly Kearns' mom is listening to this, I would have paid to see her point of view from this entire thing because she was right there for the whole
Oh
thing.
my god, I love that. I wish we had that video. We could have put that on our social media. Darn
Oh,
it, Alexa.
yeah. Oh, it was something.
Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.